How's it going, guys? Crazy Boy here. And I didn't think, let me just start out by saying, I didn't think I'd have to record 2 videos in one day like this, but I do. The devs have just released their blog post updating us on the patch notes of the mid-chapter patch coming on July 9th and the contents of it. So, for people who don't want to read the blog post, I am here. I'm here to dumb it down for you and give it to you quicker. So let's get right into business. The first thing we have is the Freddy rework. In the 3rd anniversary live stream and the stream they just had Thursday, the devs have went over further what Freddy's power is going to be like after his rework, and they are almost ready to give a presentable version of Freddy to play, the new version. And this Freddy rework will be playable on the public test build July 9th, along with the other changes in the mid-chapter patch, including the Springwood map rework. For anybody who doesn't know, they've reworked Springwood as a map entirely, so it's going to look completely different. The palettes are going to be different. There's going to be more unsafe loops, etc. Next category we have is matchmaking. They're going to be working on matchmaking. And the point gain has been taken into account. They have been noted that more people are playing Killer because it's a better point gain. And they have noted that during the anniversary and other double blood point events and things, people tend to play more Killer. That way they can maximize their blood points gained in the event. So, what they're going to be doing is taking this into account, along with adjusting the queue times, and changing the survivor point gain to help alleviate the issue, which means that no matter which side you choose to play, you should be receiving adequate amount of points. That way it doesn't feel unfair, and that way we don't have a long killer queue time as we had before after the Ghostface release and during the 3rd anniversary livestream. This next one is an important one. It goes out to all you SWFs who like to have your rank 20 friend queue. SWF groups will now be matched at an average rank versus previously being matched with the host rank. I'm not talking about the killer as in the host. I'm talking about the host of the SWF as in whoever has sent you the invite. This is a really big problem previously because you'd have a whole bunch of rank 1. You'd have a rank 1, a rank 4, and a rank 5, and they all have like a rank 14 send invites, and then when you queued, you'd get a rank 14 killer or somewhere around that rank, someone who wasn't equipped to deal with that skill level of survivors. So this way now is going to queue you with a killer whose rank is an average of all your overall ranks. So that is pretty cool. We're no longer going to be able to have people bully baby killers. Thank you, developers. Next thing they briefly touched on is hitboxes. The devs stated they believe the migration to the dedicated servers will help majorly in improving hitboxes so survivors don't feel so far away as to where the hit should not have connected. They said that the edge cases will still continue to be worked on, as obviously this is not going to solve every problem, and they're going to keep us updated. Next topic is disconnecting. This is a bit of a long one. Migration to the dedicated servers will also help them determine why a player disconnected. Right now, it's a bit hard to tell why exactly a player disconnected, whether it being their game crashed or their server lost connection, or whether they actually pulled the plug themselves, and they hit the disconnect button. This is because right now the connection is killer to survivor, host to guess, I want to say. I don't know how else to describe it. And this makes it almost impossible to tell if it was the killer's internet or the survivor's internet or something else. So now that it's going to be on the server, they'll be able to tell directly between the connection between the survivor and the server, or the killer and the server. Killer mains, this one's for you out there. Specifically all you people who run barbecue, remember me. Upon disconnecting, a survivor will now leave behind a husk that the killer can hook and sacrifice, which will give points and perk tokens as if the survivor had stayed. So, pretty much what this means, if a survivor disconnects, that husk, wherever they were at when they disconnected, will still be there. I don't know if it's still going to be affected by barbecue ores and stuff. We'll have to see. But if you pick up that husk and you throw it on a hook for the first time, you still get your barbecue stack and the point gain. You hit it and you down it, you still get that Remember Me token. So that is very important. for people who run those types of perks and get cheated out constantly because people disconnect. Now we're on the topic of quitting. Right now, and still in the disconnecting category. If one survivor quits, all of the survivors will receive a quitter bonus similar to the killer if they were to quit at the end of the match. And this is to compensate for the survivor leaving. If a killer quits, all items and add-ons will be kept. Emblems will see it as if you had fully healed and you had escaped. And then, if disconnecting shortly after the start, all offerings will be, I have consumed written here, that's not right. They will be given back to you. If he disconnected very close to the start. So if you had someone who loaded in, and they're deranking, you used a map offering, they disconnect, you'll get your map offering back. The one problem with this, though, is Emblem still isn't taking into, the one problem with, no, that's, yeah, okay. The one problem with this is if a survivor disconnects, Emblem still isn't taken into account, and that could still potentially cause you to lose. Disconnecting from the system will now trigger a lockout timer, which prevents a player from queuing. I'm assuming this goes for both survivors and killers. That means survivors, stop being little bitches and disconnecting because the killer downed you. It's not that big of a deal. Killers, stop being douchebags and disconnecting because you don't like a map or you don't like the survivors flashlight spamming or whatever. Get over yourself. Every time the player disconnects from a match after it expires, the timer will become longer. So say you disconnect from a match, you had 5 minutes, you disconnect, it resets, you get into another match, you disconnect again, you're now 10 minutes, you're banned. You're locked out. It'll decrease over time, assuming that you do not connect from any additional matches. SWF. If you have someone in your lobby that has an active lockout timer, you cannot queue until every survivor's lockout timer has reached 0. These changes are aimed to be in the PTB July 9th, but they might have to wait until the next mid-chapter patch according to the developers. The final topic that we have real quick is blood point scoring. As I said before, the blood point scoring is going to be adjusted, so that way people can play whatever side they want without having to feel forced to one side for point gain. So, to do this, they are giving blood point scoring events for wiggling while on the killer's shoulder and healing survivors with a med kit compared to healing normally, which I actually encourage the survivors to use med kits now. And survival points will now be awarded for the amount of time spent in a match compared to just escaping the match, because right now the way it works is you don't get survivor points. You get survivor emblem for how long you're in the match, but survivor points are only awarded upon leaving through the door or through the hatch. And now, every so long you're in a match, should award you survival points. So I think this is actually really cool. It'll fix the point system a lot, I believe. And then they're also going to be changing the totem cleansing points. They're going to be increasing that, and it's being done once again to close the gap. So dual totems are currently 600. Hex totems are currently 1,000. I'm going to assume that they are going to at least double it. I'm going to assume they're going to at least double it and maybe do more. I think if they change it to where, I think they should change it to where dual totems should give you 2,000 and hex totems should give you 5,000. Because it wouldn't be that overpowered, because killer still makes about 32k in a match. They can go up to 50k if they have 4 stacks of barbecue, and it's insane. So I think this will be fair for survivors. The 2,000 for dual and 5,000 for hex. But that is currently it. I'm out of stuff, so the build will be one quick thing. Bill will also be releasing on the actual release of the mid-chapter patch for consoles. He is going to be free to play, but he might have some licensed cosmetics. The devs have confirmed he is free. Polyester, who is also a Fog Whisperer, confirmed that he is free. Bill, you do not have to pay for. His perks are going to be given to him, and they're going to be locked. And if you have them on other players, you can still use them, but they will not appear in further blood webs until you unlock the perk as a teachable. Stop your bitching. For all you people bitching, I don't want to grind in. This is bullshit. Because reasons why. Actually, yeah, I'll go over it right here. Reasons why. A, Some people want him in the game. Just because you don't want to grind isn't right for you saying that he shouldn't be in the game. 2, you can still use it on other survivors. You still have it. 3, if you want it without leveling up, the earliest the PTB can actually, the earliest the build can, the mid-chapter patch can drop, not counting the PTB drop on July 9th, is July 23rd when it goes live. That is the earliest the mid-chapter patch can go live, is July 3rd. Or possibly July 30th, but the earliest it can go live is July 23rd. So that's important to keep in mind. But that is all I have to say for now. These changes, except for the disconnecting, which might be prolonged, will all be available on the July 9th PTB. They should all be live at earliest July 23rd. And if you're on console, start saving up your blood points for Bill if you want to play him. That's it, guys. I'm out. Peace.